Hey guys, I am back in the swimming pool today. I'm really not looking forward to going back there. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't mind going there. It's just, I don't like taking time away from here. But yeah, essentially I have to go back there because the lights had all corroded and failed. So I'll show you a little bit more of that and we'll come back. I am back at the swimming pool. It's getting quite wet. Basically the lights didn't quite pan out as expected. Let me show you. I don't know if you can really see that, but aluminium swimming pools doesn't work, does it? Look at them. Absolute mess. And they stopped working as well. I think it was more driver related, the reason they stopped working, because the ones that have been pulled out the pool elsewhere haven't had any water in. I could really see, I think one I had like a tiniest dribble in it, and that was it. These two are the worst with regards to the corrosion. They must have been quite badly anodised, but yeah, something that process improvement needs to be worked out. So anyway, what we had to do is redo the lights in 316 stainless steel. We've done them with a gland as well. The great thing with this experience is it's taught us a lot about the glands. You have to make sure that the things are completely and utterly waterproof, you need to use a calibrated torque wrench. So that, for instance, we've got a crow's foot spanner on it, and we said it's 2 Newton meters. If you go slightly over or slightly under, the glands will leak. So that's been one of the biggest things that we've learned. This is one of the fittings out, so yeah, it's all bent up because it's a pain in the ass to get out. But look, you see there's absolutely no water in there at all. Where this failed was really these joints, these what were they, heat shrink and glue joints. They just didn't work at all. They actually just, the glue does not hold up against the chlorine. So lesson learnt, that's why we have to use the gland. I mean, you just look at that, isn't that astonishing? How much they've just been eaten. I see there's no liquid in there. It's funny, isn't it? Which shows you the material is no good. Which is why I went for 316 stainless steel. Lesson learned. At the pool now, as you can see, and I've been down in the basement and trying to sort out the driver situation because the Aurora 9-watt driver just blew to absolute crap. Let me show you what's going on in the pool. Right, so we've got a bunch of lights on. The ones that always I like the most are the 2 that are in this little plunge pool, this little jacuzzi pool, because they give a fantastic effect. You see how bright that is, it's crazy. I've got 2 that aren't working, and I don't know if it's the fittings or the wiring. Now the reason why I cite the wiring is because the wiring is crap. It's got these like little Wago holders that they're not really Wagos, they're some other cheap Chinese brand. So there's one there not working, and literally the one opposite. Yeah, and the connections on them are just absolutely awful. So it's, you know, I don't know whether it's that or not. Normally, like, you know, jiggling it about, and all of a sudden you get a connection. So I'm probably going to have to come back with a volt tester and some Wagos, I think. And I should be able to get these 2 going, assuming it's not the fittings, but I'll obviously come back with spares for the fittings as well. But I mean, we tested the absolute hell out of these. They tested for a full week in our tanks. The one over the other side I just took out. It's been in here, it's been in this pool now for 2 weeks, because that side was done first, and I opened it up just to check, and with the desiccant in there, it's completely bone dry, which is exactly what we're going for, which is awesome. So I'm just going to check this one below now, but I need to take this stupid adapter plate thing off. Just to give you an idea, this is the length of flex that I'm having to deal with. I can barely just get it just above, and that's it. It's pretty horrible to work with. Right, that one is now going, which is awesome. So it just leaves just that one. So I think I'm going to go back to the unit, and I'll come back after lunch with the tester and see if I can try and work out what's going on with it. Hopefully it's something nice and simple. I mean, I'd love to get it fixed now, but don't have a volt tester. What can you do? I'm wondering, yeah, bringing a PCB etc. might be a good idea, just in case. We've got this slight problem where the lens crushes down on the diode of the LED fitting, or not on the LED, but on the actual diode that blocks the reverse current. So at the moment we're doing a redesign of the 6 watts because it's based on the 6 watts basically. And one last one that was being tricky. Look at how that looks when it's all the jets are running. This last one was being a bit tricky, but it's sorted now. I actually had it connected in reverse and it doesn't have a red LED on these ones. I had it connected in reverse in the basement, so I can whack this back in the water now. Super easy. There we go, that's pull side done. You can see them, they're on down there. The effect is really, really nice. As I say, this is my favourite bit. Definitely. The illumination in there is awesome. Yeah, so you saw those lights, and essentially it's the hard anodised aluminium. It works if you get the anodising right. Now, so basically I pulled out some fittings. I didn't take photos of them, but some of the fittings were actually completely like uncorroded and were fine. They had no moisture inside, but the drivers had blown the LEDs. I'm not sure how that quite worked. We sent the drivers back to Aurora, and they were like, oh, we're going to get them in the lab to test them and this, that and the other. And then they come back about 3 weeks later and said, oh, they're potted, we can't test them. I was thinking at the time, like, how are you going to test them? And then they kind of said, oh, they must have been connected to mains. I'm like, you know, on the ELV side, I'm like, they've been working for 6 months plus. Anyway, regardless, yeah, so lessons were learned off the back of it. So really, I say what failed was that heat shrink joint with the glue line heat shrink. Basically, it works in gardens, etc. It just doesn't work in a swimming pool setting with chlorine. I don't know whether or not it would work in a water feature, but to be honest, now I've seen it, my advice to anyone would be don't risk it. Just get the right lead length in the first place, or go for a different joint. But yeah, just not really the right kind of thing. So we adapted the design and went to glands. So we actually went to Whisker and said, you know, have you got any glands that will provide an IP68 seal? They said, yeah, we've got this one. And we was like, cool, I need it to be M12 because we needed to keep it as small as possible. We still need to get our cable for it. We started testing these off the back of doing the first swimming pool light changes. We started adding these to our 12 watt and 6 watt lights. And we learnt a few things along the way while we were water testing, etc. We were finding water ingressing, and we were like, why are we getting water ingress issues? And we found out that we were over tightening them, and that critically they actually needed to be torqued. So I had to buy a torque spanner with the crow's foot. 2 Newton meters they had to be done up to, and basically if you do them to that, they just don't leak. They're perfect. The problem is, and one of the reasons why I wouldn't go out and start selling these lights now that they're in 316 stainless, is essentially relying on the contractor to actually use a calibrated torque wrench to do it to 2 Newton meters to mean it's not going to leak. It's like one of these things that it's like it's too reliant on something that I know that you're going to have some really, really good contractors out there that are going to do it, and then you're going to have, that's probably like 10%, and then the remaining 90% are just going to just do it as tight as they want, screw the threads, whatever. They start leaking within a week or whatever. They come back to us and say, oh, these fittings are leaking, they're crap, and we're like, well, you've probably not taught the thing right, you know. So I just don't want to go there. But the great thing with swimming pool lights for us was that we've learnt a lot of lessons. It's really taught us about waterproofing, etc. So say desiccant inside the fittings really, really makes a difference, especially when we're talking about a hot, humid environment where they're being done up. So they're taking in that hot, humid air and essentially, you know, like trapping that air inside the fitting. Then when that fitting's cooling down, it's condensing that hot, humid air, and you're going to get, like, you know, moisture in the LED. not a good situation at all. So that desiccant really does prevent that. So we're now looking at this and going, well, do we add desiccant to, you know, like water feature fittings, etc., just as a kind of like fail safe for any air that we're capturing here, because we're not in a temperature controlled environment. I wish we were. I just don't have the money or the resources right now for having a temperature controlled environment, but I'd love to have something like, have you seen Braymont watches? They do a factory tour in Oxfordshire, and beautiful, you know, everything's temperature controlled and filtered and whatever. That's my goal, but that's a way away, so, you know, we'll work towards it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. You know, do give us a like if you enjoyed it, and comment below if you think it was crap or whatever. Just give it to me. I'd say I don't do installs, etc. That's not something I normally get into. The only reason that I got involved with this one was essentially we couldn't find the right contractor in the end, and it was my local village, and I thought, well, you know, it's my local village and it's going to be our R&D kind of installation, so we'll do it. And yeah, it's been fun ever since. But yeah, thanks guys, see you soon.